Live from Vancouver, this is The Bill Good Show. Here again is Bill Good.
With Canada's Heritage Minister, James Moore, also Official Languages Minister. You're fluently bilingual.
Oui, je parle français. Et toi, Bill?
I think we'll leave it at that. Glenn.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Bonjour.
Bonjour. I'd like to ask the minister this. Last year, at around this time, there was an election, and arts and culture expenditures were a major issue, and probably may have cost the Conservatives a majority in Quebec. I'd like to ask the minister, who was very eloquent describing the values and the social values that can be brought forward with arts and culture, if he is able to humbly take some credit for turning the Prime Minister around on looking at arts and culture.
No. The truth is that there was never really, in my judgment, never really a substantive policy disagreement between, in my view, the arts and culture community and what the Conservative government has done in the past. I think, for the most part, this has been a missed opportunity for communications on our part, and to think about it in the way that I think reaches to more people. Often people say, and I think, I'll be honest with the arts and culture community in British Columbia complaining about the provincial government, is that I think to a lot of people outside of that, it's not communicated in a way that I think speaks to the broader audience, right? I think the way to talk about arts and culture is to talk about what this means to everybody, rather than, I don't want to deviate too far from this. In the United States, one of the reasons why Barack Obama is having problems with his healthcare reforms is because he's talking about the uninsured. The uninsured are the distinct minority of Americans, and so those who are insured say, well, why should I care about somebody who is not me? I think the way to talk about arts and culture isn't to talk about how it affects you and your company, you and your songwriting industry, you and your magazine, but to talk about what this means overall to everybody. There's no such thing as too much music. There's no such thing as too many movies. There's no such thing as too many choices at the newsstand. There's no such thing as too much arts and culture. There's a limit to the degree to which a government can fund it because of their fiscal room and capacities and ability of citizens to accept paying taxes. But the value of this to the economy and the value of it to everybody is what I think everybody needs to be pointing to and talking to. One of the things great experiences I've had as a member of Parliament is to do a lot of great traveling. And when you go to some international cities that have some great physical infrastructure, maybe some good job opportunities, and some beautiful cities, but are culturally dead. There's nothing more sad or pathetic than that. And in Canada, you look at, we're a massive country, thinly populated. We're 6 times the size of Europe. But you go into the core of our big cities. You see the Glenbow Museum in Calgary. You go to the Confederation Centre for the Arts in Charlottetown. You see the great institutions. You go to Caraquet in northern New Brunswick on the peninsula, and you see the Acadian culture there. We're alive and vibrant as a country, and we need to know and hear and see more of it.
But is there a role that the culture minister the heritage minister can play to grow, to give movie companies a better opportunity to have their movies displayed on Canadian screens?
Yeah, I mean, we do believe in this. The supports there are all over the place. Some of them are direct investments. Some of them are, the film and video tax credit. We have, philanthropic matching dollars that we've put in place, so that we encourage people in the private sector to come forward and to give money. The idea is to have multiple pillars underneath different organizations. Part of the problem I think we're seeing in the dynamic in British Columbia is you have some arts organizations, some of the smallest arts organizations, that are entirely dependent on grants, and on a specific grant. And if that one particular grant doesn't get renewed, then they are really in trouble. The way you develop a healthy arts and culture community is to broaden the base of funding and support for arts and culture organizations, so that you can develop tax policies that have incentives. You can have, ease regulatory and have even some legislative obstacles to creating organizations, have direct funding, and also encourage, as I said, philanthropic people from the outside to donate.
What's your view of the very public battle that's being waged between the cable companies and satellite companies and the television networks? And I preface this by saying I get paid in the morning by a cable company and in the afternoon by a television network. So I'm curious, but from a kind of middle ground.
So I can't lose in this debate, is what you're saying?
No, but you can give me. Can't lose, but you can just tell me what your view is of this, because it's a very public battle that's going on, and a lot of people, including people working in the industry, are confused about the issues.
Well, the issues are obviously private television broadcasting is obviously going under a great deal of transformation right now. And the basic reason why, in my judgment, is the average Canadian watches 26 hours of television per week. Under the age of 25, it's 12 hours per week. But under the age of 25, they're consuming more media than ever before. And they're doing it, you see it at the bus stops with the signature white earbuds and people staring at their phones. They're not staring at their phones, memorizing people's numbers. They're watching movies. They're watching podcasts. They're watching
television,
Ultimate Fighting. They're watching whatever it is they're watching, but they're watching it on their phone. It's portable. It's mobile. It's now.
They're watching the local news.
They're watching
but not at 6 o'clock or at 11 o'clock at night necessarily.
They're watching what they want, when they want, where they want, and they're fast-forwarding through commercials. And that's a problem. It's a real problem for the industry. And so the industry is finding ways and having to find ways to adapt to this. So enter into this fight about the issue of fee for carriage. Fee for carriage for what it basically means is when broadcasters are given the right to broadcast a license, that it's mandated to them that they have to carry local content, local news, but it is during prime time hours, and so the companies say, well, we're losing that opportunity in those prime time hours because we have to have Canadian content and local news and content. We're losing the opportunity to have very highly marketable products that will get us ad revenue. So we can't show cage fighting, or we can't show Dancing with the Stars, or we can't show other shows that'll have a mass popular audience and therefore will attract advertising dollars. So therefore, because we have to show those local shows, we should be compensated for that. And this is what the debate is about. Should they be compensated? From whom should they be compensated? And what's the degree of that compensation? And that's what the CRTC is looking at. So you have these two competing campaigns going on. One is, don't tax my local cable bill, don't make me pay more taxes for the existing services. And the other side saying, well, if you don't pay these extra fees or charges, then you won't have your local content. And the civil war is on.
Mark, good morning.
Yes, good morning. The report card James is in on Canada's broadband telecom system, and it's close to the most expensive and the slowest in the developed world. Now, at the same time, broadband profits are soaring. Time Warner, which is similar to Shaw, is claiming a 2,000% profit on broadband. And there's no regulation of broadband in Canada in prices. It's an oligarchy. A couple of big telecom players are in there. Now, the CRTC is run by these big telecom insiders, and we don't have the little guy in there. And whereas in the FCC, they're actually come out and enforcing net neutrality rules, and the CRTC has come out against it. So are you planning on doing something about this abysmal situation?
Well, I would disagree with saying that the CRTC is being run by Shaw and Rogers and companies. I don't think that's quite fair. I think the CRTC is independent, and I think obviously I want more competition. I want lower prices. I'm a free marketeer. I don't want there to be a dynamic described that I don't think exists now that you describe to come to fruition. I want there to be more choice, and I think in a lot of ways more choice is coming. For example, the iPhone, which is on the market right now, has a monopoly service right now by Rogers. That's going to be broken up. Others are going to be able to. I think Bell and TELUS have already expressed and said that I think sometime in November or December they're going to be offering the iPhone with their own rates and their own capacity at 3G speed, so people can get the iPhone at different markets and choose their packages differently. And that's a good thing. So more competition is coming. There's always the need to have more broadband, and I know that Tony Clement, who's the industry minister, is looking at different options of making sure that more people have more access to the fastest speeds possible around the country.
My thanks to James Moore. You're with Bill Good of the Corus Radio Network.
At home or at work, listen online at cknw.com.